Beijing and Arsenal give us a preview of the Community Shield in a week's time. Commentary is from Arsenal, Matthew Upson and Sam Mattis.
Thank you, Selina. Good afternoon, good evening, welcome. It is 12:39 at Stamford Bridge and the Emirates. It is 7:39 in China's capital city. Chelsea and Arsenal meet at the beginning and the end of Asia tours. Chelsea's just starting. Arsenal just finished shares, having recently overcome Bayern Munich on penalties and a severe stomach bug that swept through the camp. Arsenal in much better shape today. Here are the two teams. No Hazard, no Bakayoko, both injured. No Costa or Matic are excluded pending transfer. Antonio Rudiger and record signing Alvaro Morata not joining up just yet with Chelsea. Arsenal with Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Cohen Bramall in the starting lineup. Also include record signing Alex Lacazette. Chelsea flew out at the beginning of the week, so should be well acclimatised by now. But they, despite the strength of the starting 11, are light on numbers. There are 4 teenagers in the squad that have flown out to Asia. This time last year, you heard Selina mention that a Manchester derby that was planned for this stadium was called off with less than 24 hours notice because of a problem with the pitch at the Bird's Nest. It looks a little bit iffy in patches today, to be honest with you. The ball not rolling completely true. Clumps of grass on either side of the centre circle. But Chelsea and Arsenal will be more concerned about getting minutes of fitness behind them, really, than the overall result. Some suggestion with Chelsea selecting such a starting 11 that man fancies a bit of revenge for the EA Cup final defeat back in May. He has signed a new 2-year contract. It's the same length as his original contract, he's just got a hefty pay rise. 3.5 million a year extra. Not bad if you can get it. Now Chinese officials are just going through the motions before they give the OK for kickoff. There are some dignitaries that want to take centre stage as well. In fact, there's one that wants to kick off for us. It is the very nature of these pre-season games that we have these little trivialities just beforehand and sometimes after as well that make it just that little bit more interesting. Arsene Wenger is still there. He keeps going, doesn't he? Despite the odd dissenting voice. He's about to embark on his 22nd season as the Arsenal manager. And he's also signed up for a 23rd. The kings of the Premier League against the rulers of the FA Cup. It's our very own Game of Thrones, and Chelsea immediately onto the front foot. And a chance for Pedro to try and create something, and Arsenal just about deal with it. And Chelsea showing their intent right from the very off. It doesn't matter where these two meet, does it, Matthew Upson? They always want to beat one another.
It could be anywhere in the world, in any competition. You know, this game's always going to have an edge. There's always going to be a bit of spice to it, and you know, I fully expect that today.
Chelsea have won the first corner of the game, taken by Fabregas, headed away by Granit Xhaka. And Alonso is in behind here too. And it's a deflection which takes it behind for a corner, the second of the game.
Really sleepy start by Arsenal in the right-back position there. Maitland-Niles, I think it might be, or playing wing-back or right-back, just seems to have gone to sleep. And Arsenal need to brighten up and deal with the situation.
Chelsea haven't had as much pre-season action as Arsenal. Willian takes the corner. Will have gone out and come back in again. Our officials are all from China. David Ospina is the goalkeeper for Arsenal. Willian, who scored a hat-trick against Fulham in a friendly at Cobham last weekend. Started to develop a bit of an understanding with Michy Batshuayi.
Looks like Arsenal have slotted into a back three with Mertesacker in the middle and the two centre backs wide.
It's something that they've been comfortable with towards the end of last season. It's the kind of system you've got to play if you've got Mertesacker in the middle. Definitely,
and especially given the result of the FA Cup final, it just seems to make sense to match up the same and see how they go.
It's David Luiz squeezing the ball back to his goalkeeper. There are going to be more places under scrutiny in the Chelsea lineup this season, with a couple of new signings, including Rudiger and Bakayoko. Not here yet. Here's Victor Moses, and he's in behind too. And his shot saved by Ospina. It was a pretty tame effort in the end from Victor Moses. Chelsea have already given Arsenal a few warnings.
Well, there's been 3 warnings in the first 2.5 minutes nearly, which is a surprise. But the two young players playing left back or left wing back and right wing back for Arsenal really have to kind of have a look around. It's a big occasion for them, but they've got to settle down and start to get into the game and see where people are.
Looks like Oxlade-Chamberlain is playing as the right wing back. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who is usually a right back or a winger, is playing as part of the back three. Yeah. With Mertesacker and Monreal. This is Cohen Bramall. Ramsey immediately under pressure from David Luiz. Free kick is given. And Arsenal want to get the ball moving quickly. Oxlade-Chamberlain wearing red this afternoon. Wearing a different colour come the start of the season. Here's Ramsey. There's a man over on this left-hand side. Chelsea very narrow and bunched on the edge of the penalty area. Özil. Maitland-Niles, and then Monreal trying to scoop it forward. It's a good open start to the game, and this is the first of 2 meetings between Chelsea and Arsenal. The next is the Community Shield in 15 days' time. And then we'll be complaining if they're fast and furious like this. By Bramall to try and take it away from Victor Moses. Free kick is given. Jack. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who says he prefers being a winger. Gave away a penalty against Bayern Munich, and he was judged to Juan Bernat. And he thought that was a little bit harsh, actually. And on the final of the recent under-20s World Cup, which England won. Here's Pedro, trying to skate away from Maitland-Niles. He does very well to stick with him. Two of the most players on the pitch. There's another one, Iwobi finding Bramall. Getting forward quickly, just a heavy touch there, might have taken it too far.
I felt sorry because the pitch, I don't know if you noticed, but the pitch really bumped the ball up and just encouraged that heavy touch from Bramall. Just as he was about to contact, it just popped up in the air, which I think affected his touch.
You've played more than a handful of games in the Far East, and you were telling me before that sometimes the pitches just don't lend themselves to the kind of football that Premier League teams like to play.
No, it's very, very different surface, very different type of grass, a bit spongy and unpredictable.
Most Ramsey illegally. Well, Arsenal may have beaten Bayern Munich last week, but they were outplayed for much of that game. They owed a lot to Petr Cech and ultimately Emi Martinez. Chelsea won 8-2 in the friendly match behind closed doors at Cobham. They were supposed to play another domestic match, and that didn't materialise before coming out to Asia. given away cheaply by Maitland-Niles, and Willian is away here. He's got support, but he might not need it. Well, it was close, and Arsenal have got away with one. 12 goals last season, you would have expected him to put that away.
Yeah, Maitland-Niles here, just a sloppy touch. He's not concentrating enough, he's not decisive enough with the ball. He recovers well, I have to say. He gets him just enough pressure on Willian there, just to put him under enough pressure to force him to squeeze it well, but really chanced by Willian.
This player had a difficult 2016-17 because of personal issues. He lost his mother, and it affected him terribly, the stress of the situation. He ended up losing a lot of weight and wasn't as effective as he would have hoped. Good turn by Oxlade-Chamberlain. On to Iwobi. This is Özil. Now Bramwell again. Iwobi trying to send that into Lacazette. Very popular figure, Alexandre Lacazette, especially with one punter who's had his face tattooed on his backside. True story.
Not talking about yourself there.
He's an Arsenal fan. Lacazette has got touch with him and promised to send him a shirt as a result of his dedication and loyalty. £46 to £53 million, depending on which source you look at, but it's clear that he's Arsenal's record signing. Özil trying to find Lacazette, blocked by David Luiz, and it's out for Arsenal's first corner of the game.
A little bit on the back line there, Chelsea. If you just see Luiz is quite a few yards deeper than Cahill and plays him on side. Managed to cover back in, but yes, it's that early part of the pre-season game, just getting the organisation right and getting that back line straight.
Chelsea got enough numbers back here. That's all with the corner, headed away by Batshuayi. Fabregas to Batshuayi, and now Chelsea looking to go on the counter-attack. Still getting people back nice and sharp. This is Moses. Decent looking cross. Batshuayi seemed to be caught in two minds. I don't think he realised that it was going to swing back out again. They've kept it in here, Chelsea. Alonso, stretch Fabregas. Willian takes over. And Arsenal get it clear.
Fantastic cross there, put in by Moses. Just teased it right in between the centre-back and the goalkeeper, exactly where you'd want it to be.
And a really good season last campaign, didn't he? And it came about by impressing in pre-season last year. Another cross, which is blocked by Monreal. Juggling was by Ramsey. Cross from Monreal. The crowd are being entertained by some of the tricks that these Premier League superstars are trying to display. Lacazette has found Alex Iwobi. Lacazette again. Taylor's there, as he has been ever since he arrived at English football, on the scene of an emergency very quickly.
It's like a sixth sense that he has, Kante. So it's an outstanding feature of his play. I mean, he just gets back into areas, he can affect the play, uses his body, makes contact with the ball, and just forces people out of possession.
Chelsea maybe should be grateful to Arsenal for dramatically altering their season last year. The 3-0 thrashing, and it was a thrashing at the Emirates in the autumn, paved the way for a change in formation, a change of philosophy that put Chelsea on the road to the Premier League title. I remember talking to him after that game, and he was saying, we are a great team on paper, but only on paper.
Well, he did something about it.
He certainly did. Here's Iwobi. Oxlade-Chamberlain, who's been linked heavily with a move to Chelsea, out stripping Marcos Alonso. Here's Pedro. Has to run with the ball at his feet. He's being chased by Oxlade-Chamberlain, pursued by Jacket. Still got hold of it though. Needed a third man to come up and prevent him from getting the end.
Really clever, Pedro. I mean, it was a little bit off the cuff, but he went with it. He drew the ball, and really nice footwork and skill.
Chelsea's head coach might be a little bit frustrated about the effectiveness of the recruitment. No doubt that he'd be pleased with the three big money signings that they've brought in, Chelsea. They are still in need of reinforcements. Here's Pedro. On to Alonso. Hill. This season in competition, something that they didn't have to worry about last campaign.
No, it'd be interesting how that affects Conte's philosophy from last season, which he very much stuck with 11 players and be able to get that fan understanding in the team. It's going to be a different.
Basically playing this game today.
Absolutely, you know, you look at this lineup, it's far off the game that lost to Arsenal.
They're back almost and being sold, let go or being put out next. They do have a layer underneath the first. It's been sold off or loaned. Will need filling. There's a company of Antonio Conte to this Asian tour and it's trying to make a case for their involvement.
Definitely, you know, it's an opportunity for those players. Quite, like you say, and for different various issues, but at Chelsea at the moment with the size of their squad, and you really expect to add to that before the season starts.
Dirtle skating forward and finding Lacazette, who tried to return it. It's Fabregas on the floor, but Chelsea still have the ball. Chelsea's way in the opening 15 minutes in China's capital. Gunner, of course. Moses. Fabregas again. Ashua is a shot away. Morata to fight with for a first-team spot this season. Expected that Costa is going to lead to the Atletico Madrid with the stopping between.
Should be a little for him this year, even if he doesn't quite hold down that first-team, first-choice place. There's a lot of matches. I mean, he got starved of games last season, really, given the regularity in which Chelsea kept the same 11 and. You know, hopefully he'll get more opportunity to play if he's not nailing down that number one.
For the bulk of the season, he wasn't really even coming off the bench.
No. It's very difficult when you've moved to a new club, and that is the case.
Just seeing how the turf kicked up under the feet of Aaron Ramsey there. This is Özil. Towards Özil from Xhaka, and it almost came off for Arsenal.
Really good pass, very just over hit, but so decisive and a cutting pass, something that Xhaka and Ozil, it's a real key part of their game. They ball and they look for it one touch. They play the ball so early just to break that little line and nearly put Ozil in there.
Chased and ultimately pushed off the ball by Nacho Monreal. Scored a big goal in the semi-final of the FA Cup. Batshuayi, Mertesacker is excellent in that FA Cup final at Wembley. I think again all the odds.
It's an outstanding performance. It would go down for me as just the Saka FA Cup final. I thought it was outstanding, given he'd hardly played a game all season.
Tried to allow that to run through to Batshuayi, but Monreal was alert to it. The space here outlined for Arsenal, he's chasing it. There's a back and just hit him up momentarily. This is Xhaka. Box, they've tackled it. Not in blue yet. Is that a move you think could happen?
I find it hard to see that move happen, to be honest. I mean, I'd be very surprised if Arsenal were to let Oxlade-Chamberlain go and for him to go to Chelsea.
Here's Pedro. Arsenal with red wall in front of Ospina's goal. Pedro didn't capacity to prize it open. This is Iwobi. Now Xhaka. Iwobi's made a burst and run forward. Lacazette. He's ambitious.
I just feel like the pace of the game's starting to slow down a little bit. They're settling into the shape, and the other thing you can't underestimate here is the humidity in Beijing and in the stadium. It's very difficult to cope with in a pre-season film.
Get to the stage after 10 minutes and you're feeling as if you played 90.
Your muscles tend to be feeling like you've had 90 minutes after 10. Yeah, it's a very strange feeling. There's almost like a lack of oxygen to kind of get on board.
Yeah, you may have seen a shot of the former German international goalkeeper, former Arsenal goalkeeper Jens Lehmann, who is part of the Arsenal coaching staff nowadays. They did promise changes. Here's Batshuayi.
Felt he probably could have laid Willian in there for me. He made a great run outside him, and to lay him in for a strike for me would have been a better choice. Here we are, he stays on side, and just a slid ball there to Willian puts him in probably a better position to score. You know, you don't mind your striker having a pop, he's there to score, I understand that, but just to roll that in there would have been a great choice from him.
Against Fulham at the weekend, he laid on 2 for Willian. So maybe he's thinking, I deserve a go myself.
It's my turn to score, yeah.
And Monreal's got a little bit of an issue here. They will be able to make a number of changes throughout the course of the afternoon, if required. And just want to heat inside the stadium. It was 27 degrees an hour before kick-off. Humidity was well above 90%. Is it a good way of getting your fitness going on these pre-season tours?
I think it's very difficult, the time zone, the travelling. The one advantage you find when you come back and you get onto English soil and you start to train at your own training ground is the freshness, and you know, the air is very different. So if you're used to training in that kind of humidity and heat, to come back home and train after a few days and you've acclimatised, I think you do feel the benefits at that point. But overall, I think the travelling and the going there for the preparation for the Premier League season isn't a very positive thing for the squad.
What do you mean by different air?
It's just the humidity. You just feel like when you're running and you're working that hard at home or at your training base, you're just used to the air temperature and the lack of humidity. When you're playing in somewhere like Beijing, it's very difficult to get used to that.
Contact. Trying to find Willian. Interception is by Monreal. This is Bramall. What a story he's had over the last 6 months. Moved to Arsenal in January from Hensford Town. And that was days after being made redundant from his job at a Bentley factory.
It's a great story. I mean, stories that you don't hear very often in the modern game, and something I think Arsene Wenger is very open to. If you look over the years, he's been open to that type of thing.
Given away by Apilicueta. This is Iwobi. Özil with Lacazette, and also Aaron Ramsey arriving late and prodding it narrowly wide.
Fabulous run from deep. It's great midfield play. The turnover of the ball, and you see you're on the attack. He makes a lovely run. No one better than Özil to find him with these type of passes. Great passing between the two defenders, and any kind of slight touch, glancing the ball, could have put it into the far corner.
Scored in the FA Cup final, didn't he, again? Seems to be his stage.
Similar goal from arriving from deep as well. Ball went wide and he got in the box, and so important for an attacking midfielder to time that run well.
He was another one who met a superfan in Australia who had a tattoo of Ramsey's face on his forearm.
Crikey.
Anyone ever have a tattoo of your face?
Hopefully not.
Arsenal have been on the most arduous pre-season tour. They'll fly 21,000 miles or more over the course of a 2-week period. They've been to Sydney, they've been to Shanghai, now Beijing. They go back for the Emirates Cup next week. Chelsea will be going off to Singapore, where they will play Inter Milan and Bayern Munich. Moses chasing Bramall. Managed to get himself out of a sticky situation there. And we had another fairy tale story this week as well, didn't we, with Andrew Robertson going to Liverpool. A guy that 4 years ago was playing part-time football in Scotland and working in a supermarket. Now he's the left back of a team that will be playing in the Champions League next season. From Chelsea, and it came a very, very long way there, David Ospina. And the referee has given a free kick against Pedro.
Be interesting to see the replay on what the offence was here from Pedro. I mean, it's a decision from Ospina. I even think when he comes out, he nearly handles just on the goal line, but I can't see where the outside it looks to me when he made contact with the ball with his hand, but. You know, Pedro's got every right to go and challenge for that ball.
He's the one who's come off worse from the situation, Pedro.
Yes, it's a nasty collision. It's never nice when you're going through and his eyes are on the ball. He's totally focused on wanting to take that touch, and a goalkeeper comes out and clatters you like that. It takes you by surprise and leaves you vulnerable. So I'm not surprised he's rolling around in a little bit of pain right now.
Antonio Conte is a little bit concerned. It's Carlo Cudicini, who is on the coaching staff at Chelsea, former Chelsea goalkeeper. There's a pause in play in Beijing, so we'll tell you about some more live football that we've got coming up for you in the next few days. In fact, on Thursday night, we've got live action from Goodison Park. ITV4, we start at 7:30. Wayne Rooney's second competitive debut as an Everton player. They take on Rosenberg in the Europa League qualifiers. Kickoff is 8:05. We're on air at 7:30. Looking forward to a trip to Goodison Park, where there's been some quite intense recruitment.
Yeah, they've had a very active summer and ongoing transfer scenarios at the moment, I suppose, which makes it an interesting place to be.
It does look as if the bridge of the nose of Pedro had a small cut on it. Antonio Conte wants to know whether he has to make a change or not.
That was a substantial collision. When you see the slow motion, that was unpleasant. I think Ospina's contacted him twice, once with his forearm as he's come out to punch the ball, and then as his body's hit into him. And Pedro's head not only contacted Espina, but I think he hit the floor as well. So, you know, it's going to shake him up a little bit.
Chelsea yet to decide whether they're going to make a change. Ramsey. Interesting tactic from N'Golo Kanté. Sending it long. There wasn't anyone to aim at for Chelsea. This is Özil being chased by Alonso. Cahill was across, and that wasn't the best of clearances from David Luiz.
No, he'll probably argue that he's dealt with it, which he has, but it seemed quite a casual clearance at the time. Maybe could have hooked it out for a throw-in, but instead it looks like it's gone out for a corner.
Change for Chelsea, and Pedro is not going to be able to continue, so Jeremy Boga is about to come on, the Ivory Coast international. Started 14 times for Granada in the Liga last season, racked up nearly 1,500 minutes of first-team football in Spain. He's only 20 years of age. He did, however, play under 4 different managers, including Tony Adams. And it's a like-for-like replacement for Chelsea. He's speedy, tricky. He's got a really good touch. He likes to run with the ball. Very creative player.
That's a good opportunity for him. Game matches like this are designed really well for players on the fringes of teams and young players. So, really good opportunity for him to show what he can.
But never played a competitive match for Chelsea. So Chelsea making a change inside the first half an hour. It won't be. Özil. Xhaka kind of shifted on. Monreal picks it up. Bramall. This is Oxlade-Chamberlain. Following him away from the penalty area and then getting the tackle in.
I can really hear Antonio Conte encouraging his players, getting them out, you know, get pressure on the ball. It's something that he really requires his teams to do, and even though it's a pre-season friendly, he wants Chelsea to get into that zone and into that mindset of pressing the ball in midfield and putting pressure on the opposition.
Another drinks break. Antonio Conte coming in last season, he had a fantastic first campaign, didn't he? He led Chelsea to the Premier League title at the first attempt, guiding them to what was a record 30 wins in a single season, as well as a club record 13 consecutive league victories. They also reached the FA Cup final when they lost to Arsenal. Don't get much better than that, do they, as far as debut season's concerned?
It doesn't get any better than that, and coming into the club there was no European distraction, which personally I feel helped him. I think it gave him time with the players on the training pitch as opposed to flying around Europe for matches midweek. He was able to play a very similar starting 11 every week. Everyone knew their job, and you know, the big credit that he's taken is the formation. I think has been a revelation for Chelsea with the domestic Premier League season, and an outstanding first season in the Premier League for a manager.
He's just whispering into the ear of Jeremy Boga there, just giving him some tactical instructions. You mentioned about the system. One of the things about him that sets him apart from other coaches is that he's not like wedded to one style, one formation. He likes three at the back, but he won't always play that way. Flexibility is important at the top of the game. Arsenal had an upturn themselves in results once they changed 2-3 at the back at the end of the season.
Yeah, no, definitely, and you know, he will change different formations if the personnel suit that, and I think that's an important thing for a manager. I see Arsene Wenger having done the same with Per Mertesacker, we touched on earlier. He's a player that will play well and will be a real asset to the defence in a 3. I think in a 2 it's a different situation for him.
Interesting season for Per Mertesacker. It will be his last. He pulled out of the warm-up against Bayern because of sickness. That's the man who will usually play in the back 3 or 4 for Arsenal, Laurent Koscielny. But Mertesacker is going to become the head of the Arsenal Academy from the beginning of the season. And you were telling me earlier he's going to start that role whilst still playing the final year of his playing contract.
That's what I'm aware of, obviously in a lighter capacity than if he weren't playing, but I believe that's the case. But even not, it's a really interesting appointment from Arsenal, and that they've obviously, you know, got a lot of faith in his idea, and going into player development at that stage in such a crucial area of the club, you know, it's a big responsibility for him.
Here he is on the ball. Representing an offside position, Thibaut Courtois comes a long way to deal with it and does so successfully. Might come here for Willian. Does come for Willian. Still going. It's Willian. It's a save by David Ospina. Victor Moses. And another reaction save by the Colombian goalkeeper to keep Chelsea out.
The header into midfield and really pounced upon by Moses.
Intelligent corner, and Michy Batshuayi tucks it home. Here's the offside flag up. He's frustrated about that. The Chinese officials were very quick to rule that out. He thought he'd stolen a march.
Arsenal will be very relieved. They get out, but they're not. There's not enough pressure on the ball as it comes out. They're too far off. It looks onside to me. Looks onside. They've got away with that. But as the corner comes back out, Arsenal just aren't ready, and there's not enough pressure on the man receiving the ball.
Told you we need VAR.
Please no.
Both you and I were working on the Confederations Cup, where that was a major talking point over the course of the 2.5 weeks.
It was very difficult to understand how you could make it so difficult to get those decisions right. Even with video technology, it was a masterclass.
That one would have been simple.
Yeah.
Chelsea might feel as if they should have been allowed that goal. And at 10 minutes before half-time, they should be in front. They've certainly had the best of the chances in the opening 35 minutes. Williams had a couple, Batshuayi from distance. To Moses too.
It's worth all of them have come from poor defensive errors, in my opinion. You know, loose passes or trying to play a ball down when it's not on, and giving Chelsea some good opportunities to score.
The accusation has been for a long time that Arsenal don't do enough work defensively. Is that your understanding?
I don't know if it's enough work defensively. It's just, in these occasions especially, it's just the decision-making.
Chance for Boga here. He's in behind Maitland-Niles. He's then been held up. Still got hold of it. Sensible play to work it out to Victor Moses, who's got a chance to cross again. And Mertesacker, well, that could have gone anywhere. Where it did go was over the top of Ospina's crossbar, and Arsenal are relieved again.
You can see Mertesacker there saying to his left wing back, or Monreal maybe, just show him out, just get him out of the pitch. Don't let him come inside and cross like that. It's too easy for him to get round and stick a dangerous ball in the box right along the 6-yard line. It's a terrible place to be as a centre-back going towards your own goal.
Willian trotting out to take the corner. The Chelsea captain is Gary Cahill now after the departure of John Terry. Mertesacker has the responsibility of watching him. He pops up with more than a goal or two. It's a decent delivery, and he's found Cahill. Arsenal blocked it, but they allowed him far too much room.
It's a feature of Gary Cahill on corners. He tends to kind of drop off and gets quite a lot of either second ball or volley type opportunities to score.
He's been reacting to the news that Chelsea have signed Alvaro Morata in the last 24 hours, and he's very excited about playing alongside him. He will join up with the squad tomorrow in Singapore, after completing his medical in London. Both good feet. On to Batshuayi, dragged the shot a little. Maybe just rushed the opportunity. Did score the goal that won Chelsea the title away at West Bromwich Albion. Decided to rebuff Fenerbahce in the week.
Just snatched at it, I would say it would be a good description of what he's doing now. I just feel more composure, take your touch, get it out your feet, clean strike. He was under pressure a little bit from Xhaka, came across, but just snatched at the opportunity and needed a better contact with the ball.
The statistics suggest he will score goals. Did when he was at Marseille. The limited appearances he had for Chelsea, he scored goals too. I think, as you said, with the number of games that Chelsea have to play this season, there will be opportunities for him. Conte, Batshuayi trying to wriggle away from Mertesacker.
In any position, to not play regularly is very difficult to get your rhythm, to get a run of form. But for a goal scorer, when you're so heavily reliant on the statistics of goals being in your game, it's a near on impossible task. So, you know, more matches for him is only going to bring more opportunities to score, which with his quality, I'm sure he'll take.
And that was superb from Batshuayi. He's found Willian. Boga is joining the attack. Moses is there too. Willian goes for goal himself, and this time Chelsea do take the lead. Really good finish from Willian. They have been threatening to take charge of this fixture, and just before half-time, that's what they've done.
Fully deserved, in my opinion, the opportunities that Arsenal are giving Chelsea and that Chelsea are creating themselves. There's far too many that only eventually they're going to score a goal, and you know, superbly taken from Willian.
5 minutes before half-time, and Willian, who scored a hat-trick against Fulham last weekend, is on the score sheet once more.
Monreal has to keep him going on the outside. As a defender, the only place I don't want him coming is inside. I will gladly let him go on the outside of me there and show him to the goal line. He allows him that space inside. Someone like Willian only needs half an opportunity or half a yard to bend the ball in the far post. It's a fantastic finish, but Monreal has to keep him outside of the pitch.
And the work of Batshuayi just on the edge of the centre circle should not be underestimated.
No, lovely play, turned with the ball brilliantly and threaded a nice through ball through, which created the opportunity.
And Chelsea lead by a goal to nil just before the break. Conte trying to meet that, and does meet that ahead of Bramall. Just got a little bit befuddled. Here is Batshuayi, some space for him too. And Chelsea score a double in quick succession. First Willian and then Batshuayi. The champions with a show of strength just before half-time.
Chelsea again handed the ball from Bramall, I think it was, and developed it themselves, but the initial turnover of the ball was a real sloppy touch or sloppy play from Bramall. Kante doesn't need another opportunity to dispossess somebody, and you know, it's a very composed finish. Mertesacker's body weight's going the wrong way, cuts inside. Very similar finish to Willian's, just with his left foot.
He's had a couple of opportunities from range and not got them quite right. That was inch perfect for Michy Batshuayi. And Chelsea, who started the first half stronger than Arsenal, have finished it in that vein too. That's another bit of sloppy defending. And here's Fabregas, and Batshuayi's lurking, and Batshuayi is denied by Xhaka. Fabregas, Boga. It's quick and slick from Chelsea, and it's a bit sloppy from Arsenal.
Arsenal really need to get a hold of themselves at the moment. They are all over the place. They've got to get set, they've got to get their shape, they've got to have some communication and some structure to what they're doing. At the moment, they're just reacting on balls and they're making sloppy mistakes. They've really got to get it together.